Welcome to another Calls Friday Night Chill stream. Running a little bit behind. I believe I've gathered the majority of the statistics that I need to, especially since the second round has ended at the American Express. But so give me a couple minutes here to get set up and everything. But welcome. Hopefully your week has went well. You are having some success in your week-long contests in the American Express. Thanks for tuning in. How are you doing this Friday evening? One thing that I want to make sure that I note for you all is that the Farmers next week is definitely not a Thursday through Sunday tournament. It is a Wednesday through Saturday. The PGA Tour does not want to contest with NFL football, and I understand it. Football, especially the playoffs, being so very popular. So next week's schedule is going to be Sunday, the initial research show, Monday, the data dive show, and then a very late Tuesday evening DFS Tactics show. In fact, I won't be able to give you an exact time, as I've already made plans for Tuesday evening, thinking that the Farmers was just an ordinary or regular Thursday through Sunday tournament. So make sure you give me a follow at social media. I will update the time as best as I can throughout Tuesday. James, how you doing? Thanks for jumping in chat this evening. How was I'm assuming the flight to San Diego? Do you know yet what course you are playing this weekend? But I was just letting the rest of the audience know that next week's schedule is going to be slightly different with the Farmers Insurance Open. Sorry, I'm turning down that music a little bit. With it being moved Wednesday to Saturday. The PGA Tour doesn't want to compete with NFL playoffs on Sunday. So next week's schedule will be Sunday and Monday as usual. The DFS Tactics show will be Tuesday. I just don't know what time yet. I've made plans for Tuesday evening, so I'm going to have to... It'll be a late Tuesday evening DFS Tactics show with the week-long contest starting Wednesday morning. So make sure you update your notifications, reminders, and your schedule for the week coming up. But I believe I've got all of my chat settings set where I need them, all that stuff. So with that, let's take a look at some of the American Express for this week, shall we? And right off the bat, I'm going to make it fairly well known that it's not going to be a very precise way of doing things as usual this week, because the Nicklaus Tournament course and the La Quinta Country Club don't have ShotLink. There is one whole group of players. Sorry, let me put this on all rounds. There's one whole group of players that don't have any data for the live tournament yet because they have not played the stadium course. So again, there's about 152, 153 players that are playing this week at the Amex. We only have stats for 102 of them. Again, re-emphasizing the fact that there's a group, a subset that has not played the stadium course. And so what I've been able to do is I've grabbed everything that I could so far in the tournament. And I have the tee times for tomorrow posted here. It's going to be a very inexact science tonight, but we're going to go and look through a majority of the course data that we can, figure out what stretches of holes we want to target, and then see if there's a particular favor in terms of front nine, back nine for each course. We'll take a look at Wind Finder, all of that stuff. But I just want to make that known up front that, you know, Adam Hadwin, Adam Long, Adam Shank, John Brom down here won't have any stats because they're playing the stadium course tomorrow, and that's where the only ShotLink data is for this tournament. So there are 2 whole courses that we don't get data for. Now we might be able to look at some scrambling, maybe look at some birdies, but I've gathered what I can. Especially you see calm weather and you see easy. That gives you a little bit of an idea of what the forecast is specifically for tomorrow. But again, I just want to make that clear that we don't have a lot of this data. Let's see, like for example here, Ben Martin. Apparently he was 6th when they played the stadium course, but he had apparently a pretty bad La Quinta. Let's see if we can't find Ben Martin as an example. So it must have been today. Ben Martin, like strokes gained total, 2nd. But he's -6. So he shot -6 today, which is, you know, good, but he's not in 2nd place in the tournament. So I've kept this column in here to see how well they played on the stadium course, to see how much that might skew the data. But it's going to be pretty inexact. We're going to go mainly on some course information. A lot of it going to be on position and all that, especially since this isn't weekend golf. I'm just doing round 3 showdown tonight because we don't know who has made the cut yet. So position will be a pretty big factor as well. But first, let's go ahead and move on over to Wind Finder. And this is the super forecast, and I'll refresh the page. And you see there's nothing. Absolutely nothing in terms of wind for the forecast for tomorrow. In fact, the wind doesn't change direction at all. It just looks chilly, but fantastic in terms of weather for golf. So with that, that is partially why, or that is the reason why I brought in calm metrics. And this is just strokes gained total for calm. And then I also brought in strokes gained easy, or strokes gained total when it's easy. For obvious reasons, we talked about that all week. How the 3 courses are generally pretty easy. There's lots of low scores right now. The cut would be, I believe, -6, and it's just gonna go lower. So, and I will. I'm actually going to close this out so I don't get too terribly confused. But there's one last look at the Wind Finder forecast for tomorrow. So I'm going to close that. I'm actually going to open a new instance of Fantasy National, and I'm going to bring over the stats leading into the week and the in-tournament stats over here. I'm going to let's go through each course little by little here and see what has been going on at them in terms of historical and this week. So let's first start with La Quinta. And La Quinta has historically been the easiest of the three courses. This is where a lot of your eagles come, as you can see here. The par fives, 3 of them yield an eagle 3.5% or higher. Just lots of low scores here at La Quinta, especially on the par fives. That's why you see that it is so imperative at La Quinta. It's a birdie fest as it is, and as I mentioned throughout the week, it's really the par fives here at La Quinta. The other 2 courses are par threes. This is for the winners. We can look at some other things here too: hole composition, accuracy, greens, through all that stuff. But the biggest thing that we want to look at historically here is where is the easy and tough stretches of this course. Well, historically, 14, 15, and 16 is difficult in terms of, in relation to the course. 14 is actually a pretty difficult hole, placed at 2/10 over par normally, and I think it's a little bit over that so far this week. But that doesn't really matter. 14, 15, and 16, everybody plays, continuously. Now 17, 18, and 1 is one of the easiest holes on the course. So if 17 and 18, if you're able to birdie that, there might be a slight advantage to that. And if we look at, say, 8, 9, 10, 11, around in that range, 11 is easy and 9 is pretty easy. So if you can get a birdie on 10, that's a fairly decent little run as well. So I think, at least historically, I think it's safe to say that for those players that play La Quinta, it's probably better to start on the front 9 slightly, only because you really only have a 3-hole stretch here from 17, 18, and 1. 2 pretty difficult, 16 only 0.04 over par, but still over par. Whereas 8, 9, 10, and 11, you do have 4 holes in here that you can score on. So maybe a slight edge towards the front 9 starters at La Quinta for now. I'm going to bring up the in-tournament stats. Let's see how these compare to, like I said, is this a straight bring over from here? Oh no, okay, so it does have the round 1 and round 2 scoring. Very good. Okay. So let's just kind of take a gander here. I will zoom in a little bit for you all there. Looks like hole 1 at La Quinta, playing a little bit tougher than usual. 2 probably right at its usual. Now 3 is actually playing under par, which is a drastic difference than its historical norm. 4, much easier. 5, my goodness. Look at 5 and 6. They're almost playing. 6 is almost a full shot easier. But I think the most important parts here, let's look at like 8, 9. Now 10, interesting. 10 is actually playing over par. It played pretty damn difficult on day 1. 11's easy. 12. So like 16, 17, 18, this has not been easy. 17, 18, and 1. I mean, yes, 1 is playing under par, but it's still harder than its historical norm. So with this, I'm actually giving a fairly decent little edge to, say, the front 9. If you can get 10, then you've got a set of 4 holes here that are very, very scoreable. And in round 2, 10 played under par. It was just very, very difficult on day 1. So I think, like I said, I think there's a slight edge here, slight to moderate edge for La Quinta front 9 players for tomorrow. So with that, let's go ahead and head over here to the tee times and whatnot for tomorrow. I will sort on price. Right now I have it just in alphabetical. So let's filter on the La Quinta number 1s. 10:31. 10:42 is the latest tee time, and it starts at 8:30. 8:41, 8:52, 9:03, 9:14, 9:25, 9:36, 9:47, and 9:58. So these players here probably get a bit of a bump. Normally I put that in green. I don't want to match too much in terms of color. So let's go with a blue. So these players here probably get a little bit of a bump. Everything else in a vacuum. Everything else in a vacuum. These players probably get a little bit of a bump. And it's a lot of the cheaper players. It's very interesting. Now, Ryan Brim's had a great tournament so far. Michael Block has had a very good tournament so far. Trevor Werblio. Man, these are some names. Tyler Duncan, who's had a very, very good tournament. And honestly, historically, he's been very good when it's common. He's been very good when it's easy. So that explains quite a bit. But anyway, so definitely I would favor the La Quinta front 9 starters. Let's go ahead and move on over to the Nicklaus Tournament course. And just kind of get in an eyeball here. So for example, like if you look at 8, 9, 10, 11, 8 and 9 are certainly very difficult historically. 10 and 11 are 2 of the easiest. 11 being the easiest hole historically. And if you look at 17, 8, 1 or 17, 18, 1 and 2, that's not really a very good birdie stretch at all either. Although these 2 holes are playing under par, but not so much so that you would call them great birdie chances. 8 has certainly historically been very difficult, so if you could birdie the par 4 ninth, then there's a very good chance of a run here. But it's certainly not a it's not a guarantee. I don't see much of an advantage here, at least in terms of historical. Again, maybe the front 9, but it's not even as drastic, say, as the as La Quinta. And then again, I'll just show you the strokes gained by hole by par. It's here again. It's been a lot of par 5s for the winners. But the top tens, the par threes were important. Top tens were important. So, but yeah, I don't see too much here. Let's see what's been going on in tournament. See if it's played any different. So we'll look at the Nicklaus tournament course. We've got, so hole 1 and 2 have been extremely easy compared to their historical norms. That is worthwhile to know. Okay. 18 is played roughly to par. So Nicklaus tournament course has just been easy this year. Has just been really damn easy this year. 8 looks like it's been the toughest hole on the course. And 9 has played over par. Now 10 and 11 are easy, especially 11. It's historically been the easiest hole. But this year, I mean, look here, 17 and 18. 18 is played to par. It was difficult, or I mean, it was, fairly easy day 1. Fairly difficult today. Averages out to par. I see a decent little advantage here for 17, 18, 1, and 2. Especially if 1 and 2 are going to continue to play as easy as they have the first 2 days. So, with that, let's move on back over to the tee times for here. And I'm thinking it's going to be the back 9 for the Nicklaus. So NT10. 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 And I see this as a fairly significant, so I'll shade it in a little bit of a darker blue. You got players such as Cam Davis, K.H. Lee, Keith Mitchell, Stefan Jaeger. Van Rooyen's had a decent tournament. Bezuidenhout's played very well. I was nowhere near him, but I mean, plays well when it's calm, plays well when it's easy. Makes a lot of sense. Danny Lee. Garrick Higo, surprisingly, has played very, very well. I was nowhere near him this week. But there's a few of the names there in terms of the Nicklaus tournament course that seem to have an advantage over their peers on the same course. And then finally, we will take a look at the stadium course. Stadium course, like 17 and 18 have been pretty difficult historically. So not a great chance for 17, 18, 1, and 2. If we go to, say, 8, 9, 10, and 11, it's certainly feasible. Now, 9 and 10 have played over par historically, but, 8, the par 5 8th has been the easiest hole historically. So if you can get a birdie on 9, it's not unreasonable. You can't really do 7, 8, 9 because everybody plays that stretch in a row. Let's take a look and see what's happened this week. For the stadium course, C1 has played a little bit easier. It was very easy day 1 and it got really pretty tough today. 2's always been easy. Okay. So 1, what's 18? 18's actually played slightly under par. So 18's played easier than usual. 1's played slightly easier than usual. There might be something here for the 18-1-2 stretch. I mean, 17 is still pretty darn difficult. Still pretty darn difficult. How about 8, 9, 10, 11? 8 has just been a birdie fest. 9, again, 2 very, very different days. Very easy day 1. Pretty damn difficult day 2. So again, an average of a little bit under par, but certainly, not a guarantee by any means. 10's played to its absolute career norm. Sorry, that one. So 4.04, 4.04. It's played to its career norm. What do you all think? I don't see much here in terms of a possible favor. If anything, I would say it's the 18, 1, and 2, but it's not a great chance. Like the stadium course played pretty darn easy, it looks like, on day 1. And then got really, really tough today. So I'm thinking 18, 1, and 2. But if the wind goes back to what it was, if it's the scoring from day 1, I mean, my goodness, that's 8, 9, 10, 11. That's where you want. So I don't know how to handle that. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't know. I don't know if I should go with the round 1 scoring, since the winds are going to be completely calm all day, or if I should go with the averages, because that's going to lead to 2 different answers. So I might leave that up to you. If you feel like scoring on the stadium course is going to go back to round 1, then put a heavy emphasis on the guys that are starting on hole 1. If you think it's going to play, towards the averages of what the 2 days have been, then I would give the slightest of slight edges to the players that tee off on 10. But I can be convinced either way on that one. I really can. So that's interesting. Okay, something else that I want to do, and I will move this back over to here. I'm going to bring up ESPN here off to the side, and one thing that I didn't have a chance to do before going live was to see whose scoring might be artificially high. And what I mean by that is players who have aced a par 3. I'll zoom this out just a little bit, or have hold out on a par 4. So let's take a look at some of these types of metrics here. And we'll go to course stats, the stadium course. So you see here, look, you've already got a bunch of eagles on these par 4s, which you just can't count on. So let's see. On stadium course, I apologize, I'm just making a few notes here. Stadium course, hole number 1, 2, and 3 have 1, 2, and 5 eagles. There's been an ace on hole 6. You can't count on that. Hole 7. There's just been eagles galore here this week. Let's see. 7, 9 has had this. What this might be though as well, this might be including the amateurs. I hope not, but it could be. going to be really, really shitty if it is. I sure hope not. And then 18. So let's just kind of take a look here, see if we can't figure out who some of these players are that might have eagled these par 4s or aced a par 3 and whatnot. So we're just going to look at the Stadium Course players today, just to get a feel. Poston, nothing. Sungjae, he eagled a par 5. Okay. Day, eagled a par 5. Duncan, nope. Eagle to par 5. There's double bogey. I'm not looking for double squares. I'm looking for circles. Old Brim. Nope. Carson Young. Nope. Sig. Block. James, how's the weather in San Diego? Let's say I'm kind of jealous. Normally it is perfect out there. That's on par 5. Par 5. This might be including the amateurs, and that's upsetting. Yeah. That's probably including the amateurs. That's frustrating. Don't think that's going to be too much help to us. And that's one of the, honestly, the beauties and frustrations of this tournament. Is that you get this pro-am feature to it. I know Davis Thompson has an eagle on a par 4. Let's see, Kevin, you has 5 and you has 3, and then actually, let me just grab this. All the players that have an eagle, we'll bring over to here. And now we can do some actual look at the PGA Tour leaderboard. And of course I closed it out because I'm an idiot. All right. I'm gonna bring up the leaderboard over here just so that you don't have to see me fumble through it all. Okay. Let's bring that up. All right. Davis Thompson. So he had 2 eagles today, but both of them were on par. 3 eagles today, but they were on par 5s. Then yesterday, so every single one of his eagles has been on par 5s. Because the interesting thing about La Quinta is that they have back-to-back par 5s on the front 9. So I mean, his is fine. He's just fine. Nothing out of the ordinary there, other than the fact that he has eagled 5 times. I don't know if that's sustainable. Damn it. Now let's sort this because Microsoft Excel wanted to fuck with me. All right, Tom Kim. Boy, what a day Tom Kim had, right? -10. Whew. He eagled a par 5. He's only got 1, so okay. That's well within reason. Hopefully, if you played week long, you took my advice on Jason Day. Yes, there's still 1 day to go, but I was really hot on Jason Day this week. I was not afraid of his poor performance historically at this tournament. I figured this set up well for him, considering the skill set that he's been showing since the fall. And so far, it's worked out pretty darn well for me. Montgomery looks like he's got his eagles on par 5s, so that's fine. I'll tell you one thing that I have been wrong on was Xander. I mean, now he was rated high in my ranking, so I don't want to say that I was wrong on him per se, but I was going nowhere near Xander. I wanted to see health. Oh my God, he looks healthy. He's played very darn well. And I mentioned Wednesday evening that I will lose. Okay, so there's one. Scott Piercy. Scott Piercy. How expensive is you? I can't imagine very. I don't think you're this cheap though either, are you? I can't imagine that. Scott Piercy, 66. He's a little bit inflated. He has a hole out on a par 4. So a tad bit inflated there for Mr. Scott Piercy. Kevin Tway, fine. Andrew Landry, or as Golf Channel likes to call him, Adam Landry. Have you all seen that mess? For 2 straight days, anytime Andrew Landry has been on the leaderboard, or if they've shown a graphic about Andrew Landry, he is a former winner here. He's been Adam Landry. So his doppelganger. Okay, there's another one. Alex Smalley has been perhaps artificially boosted a hole out on a par 4, which of course you cannot bank on. Grayson Sigg, his is on a par 5. Matthias Schmid, par 5 today. Yep, okay. Chris Kirk. And this is probably the last little bit that I need to do before we'll start getting and talking about lineups. I apologize. It took me a while to gather all tee times, prices, and all that such. So bear with me. One last little bit that I need to look up before getting heavy into it. Taylor Moore. But for those watching, feel free to jump in chat if you want to talk about a specific player. Mention how any of your wagers might be going. I've got a couple that are alive and kicking. I've got one that is an absolute joke. So, would be intrigued to hear how your all's betting week, either in wagers or in DFS, is going. And if there are any players you want to focus on for round 3 showdown and to scrutinize. All of these players have been within reason. Where's Matthias Schwab? There he is. Okay, Schwab has holed out on a par 4. Thought he would be pretty cheap. There he is. I figured he'd be pretty cheap. So Schwab has holed out. Kevin Yu, I think we looked at him earlier. He's got one par 5. A par 5, yep. Will Gordon. Par 5. Par 5, okay. Andrew Putnam. Par 5. Sam Stevens and Richie Wierenski. Yeah, his was on par 5. And a par 5. Wierenski. Par 5. Yep. So all of those guys are okay. Lingmerth. Par 5. Justin Lauer. Par 5. Okay. Good to see Johnny Vegas back teeing it up, as he was hurt throughout most of the fall. MJ Duffy. R5. Party Marty. R5. All these guys are fine. I've been wrong about Wyndham Clark this week. That has been quite disappointing. Pretty high on Wyndham Clark. Nick Taylor, the same. Pretty high on Nick Taylor. He has not been fantastic. Nico. Par 5. Brendan Steele. Who I must have passed up. Yep. Yeah. So these 4 are fine. And the last 4, Adam Long. Par 5. Kevin Chappell. Somebody else hadn't played well as Patrick Rogers. Been upsetting as well. So for as many players that I feel like I've been correct on, I've got some pretty horrendous performers as well of players that I was high on. And that is why my lineups, my week-long lineups, are not all that promising. I have a lot of the upper end, but a lot of that upper end is chalk. Tom Kim, Sung Jae, and the guys that I really needed to perform well, Patrick Rogers, Wyndham Clark, or not. Okay, so apologies for that. I wanted to make sure I grabbed anybody who might have a bit of some artificially inflated stats. So let's kind of go through this here. Sorry, bring that back up. Okay. Historically speaking, the stadium course has been the toughest of the 3 courses here. Did I? Okay. I thought I deleted the tee times for a second. I was going to be really, really, really upset. All right. Unfreeze. I don't want to freeze these. Looking here, the Nicklaus Tournament course looks like it's been the easiest so far, which means somebody like Cameron Davis, Cage Lee, Keith Mitchell, especially Keith Mitchell here, tied for 34th. Now, normally, he doesn't play his best when it's easy. I talk about that all the time. But at least the day he played the stadium course, which would have been the first day when it was very easy, he goes out and he's second off the tee, 10th total that day. He does play very well when it's calm. So Keith Mitchell to me looks somebody like you might want to use, especially given his positioning And again, the positioning is going to matter. So I do like Keith Mitchell in that regard there. La Quinta had the slight favor to players that are teeing off on hole number 1. But that course is generally easy all the way through. There are plenty of birdie chances all the way through. Let's bring back La Quinta. And just because you are, say, teeing off on 10, you don't have the fantastic stretch that, say, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are. But you still have 4, 5, 6 that are very easy. You can throw in 7 and 8 somewhere in there as well. So La Quinta just gives up birdies in bunches. It's just an easy course. So because of that, and again, because of the positioning, I like Jason Day. You're going to get those positioning points. He's been very good when it's calm. He's been very good when it's easy. He was the best player today at the stadium course. A lot of that being predicated on the irons. I am very hesitant to do anything with putting this week, especially since we don't have a cut yet. We only have the one round of putting data versus, they might have putt well. Say JT Poston might have putt extremely well today at the stadium course, which I mean clearly he did. He was 6th, but he might have been complete ass at the Nicklaus Tournament course. Probably not. I mean, he's tied for 3rd, but we just don't know. We just don't know. That's why I'm hesitant to do anything with putting. But I mean, speaking of JT Poston, I mean, he's at La Quinta tomorrow. He's in 3rd. I talked about him in the lead up this week. He plays well when it's easy. He plays well when it's short. The irons at least were there today. I don't mind it. That kind of scares me a little bit for Jaeger. Van Rooyen normally does not play the best when it's calm, but he's been playing well this week. The irons have been good. He's always been a very good around the green player. And he's on the very favorable side of the Nicklaus Tournament course tomorrow. I kind of like Eric Van Rooyen. Let me do my usual bold and increase the size. Sorry, the second regular is to the stream is having a bit too much fun out in the other room. Quit. And as I said, please jump in chat if you are wanting to critique a certain player. Be more than happy to go in depth on what I see. Just kind of getting an overview or a look here. See, like somebody like Bezadenhout, I'm a little concerned. His irons haven't been the greatest this week, or at least they weren't today. Now, yes, he does play well when it's calm and it's easy, but I would be pretty gun shy on Bezadenhout. I don't want any part of David Lingmerth. I mean, he's right on the cut line as it is anyway. He was the second best putter today, so that's where a lot of his strokes gained are coming. I don't want any part of David Lingmerth. Even though Aaron Baddeley is on the right side of the Nicklaus Tournament course, like his metrics have just been awful. So I don't want really any part of that. Rahm is a little interesting to me because there's no real favor on the stadium course. You're going to get those placement points. The problem is, I mean, Rahm is going to be so astronomically owned. So I think you probably have to decide if you're going to try to use or to try to beat Jon Rahm. That would be my guess. I mean, the way Patrick Cantlay has looked, he's looked stellar. I mean, really, all of these guys have looked really good, but they haven't played the hardest course yet either. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I think I would take Xander over Tony Finau at this point for a round 3 showdown, thanks to the placement points. Taylor Montgomery, the same. I mean, Tom Kim, 91. My goodness. Now, Sam Burns has been doing Sam Burns things. He putts generally well on Bermuda, but these greens don't play like Bermuda because Bermuda's dormant. But he's been putting extremely well, and the irons are there as well, which he has not played well as of late. So I would consider Sam Burns. I don't think he's a part of the core, but I'd give him a look. I think that'd be fair to say. I'd give him a look. Like Aaron Wise, look at his metrics. They've been really bad. I don't want any part of Aaron Wise. Hoagie, he's right on the cut line as of right now. I think he's one shot inside of it. Generally plays calm and easy very well. Look at his win at Pebble Beach last year. The irons have been... he's never a great putter. So Hoagie is interesting in the fact, do you think he's going to improve tomorrow? Now, Cameron Davis, at least the day he played the stadium course, which was the first day, when it was playing really, really easy, he shot even par. And that's why these metrics are just really bad. He just might have a bad tournament. I don't think I want any part of Brian Harman. Again, a lot of that being with the irons, and he's normally an iron player. Putnam's never very good off the tee. He's been doing it off the tee. Irons are okay. Like Putnam kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know if... I don't think I would go there. Trying to think if there's others that are just obviously jumping off the page here. And Kevin Yu, as the reason why I was so high on Kevin Yu, he's doing it all in ball striking. He went -5 today at the stadium course when it played tougher. He's also very good when it's easy. I would probably consider Kevin Yu. I don't think he is core by any means. But I'm encouraged by what I saw today. Just kind of taking a look at some of these other guys that I've highlighted with good tee times, like Mark Hubbard. Again, he's coming off injury. So... that gives me quite a bit of pause on Mark Hubbard, even though he is on the easiest course of the three, historically. Harry Hall's done it. He did it all in putting on day one. He played well at La Quinta today, but La Quinta's La Quinta. It's pretty easy. Like, Brendan Todd, normally a good putter, so you would actually think this. You would have to think this regresses to the mean, because he's normally a fantastic putter. The irons were there today. Okay. I don't know if he's core, but that's a consideration. I don't hate that. Danny Lee went crazy. Was it today that he went crazy? Yeah. One of the 2 days was fantastic. Danny Lee. Okay, so he's... for whatever reason, I thought he went really low, like 7 or 8 yesterday or today, but he's just been consistent. Okay. Going to the Nicklaus tournament course and going to the good side. I might have to put Danny Lee here as part of a core. That's fairly strong for Danny Lee. Vegas's numbers were pretty good today. Let's see, what else do we have here? I don't want Sam Ryder, I don't think. Looky there, I mean, like, just... the irons aren't there, the off the tee hasn't been there. No thanks on Sam Ryder, even though he's got the good part of the draw, like, Carl Yuan, the same. His irons and off the tee have been pretty bad this week. That's why he's only -1. No thanks on Marty Doe. Kadira. Again, it's really hard because you're having to factor in these placement points, and that is not my specialty. I'm just going to be upfront with that. This is not my specialty. I am much better at a weekend golf situation. But It would not surprise me to see Satoshi Kodaira play well tomorrow. But you might not get the placement points because he's so far back. Tell you what, I've got this sorted on salary. Let's actually look at position or score. And see if we think some players might be time to regress. So Tyler Duncan here, I won't call him core, but seeing the fact that he generally plays calm weather very well, he plays very well when it's easy. At least for the today, when he was at the stadium course, the ball striking was good. At 6,500, that seems pretty good, especially since you're getting those placement points. That seems, the more I'm talking about it, the more I think he might have to start to be considered core, even though I don't believe in him long term. I mean, just the numbers are there for this week. Let's see. Others here that we might be able to exploit. Robbie Shelton isn't the best putter, but he's been very good with the irons, or at least he was very good with the irons the day he played the stadium course, which was day one. It was easier that day. Okay. I don't hate it. I think there are better options, certainly. But I don't hate it. Like, looking at Alex Smalley here, like, yes, the irons are great, but he's also holed out on a par 4. He's generally not the best when it's calm. I would have some concern with Alex Smalley. I mean, in that fact, like, I would have some concern with Grayson Sigg. Mainly because, while that is good, he's overperformed his putting. He's not a good putter. Russell Knox, kind of the same. I would be concerned there. I really don't want any part of Zach Johnson. Eric Cole's been the number 1 putter this week. That tells you everything you need to know. Like, I'm just not. I don't think he's. This is set for easy. Let me remove the easy filter. I'm just going to grab all putting. This is all of 2022 plus the tournament champions and the Sony. Where is Eric Cole in putting? Again, this is very crude. I get it. 31st. But I mean, look, he hadn't even been a 10th throughout. He's just played his best when it's easy. So I am out on Eric Cole. I think the putting regresses. Evening Curious, thanks for jumping in chat. How's the week been? We are in the midst of the maths, trying to figure out who is undervalued, overvalued, all of that good stuff. And this is a almost over. Nice. Mine's been good. It's this is a unique challenge for me. Last week, by the time we came to Friday night, the cut had happened. The field had been whittled down to the top half, plus ties of whatever. This tournament is unique in the sense that there are 3 courses that are a part of this tournament. normally it's just one course, but there are 3 courses that are a part of this tournament. So each player has to play each of those courses one time. That's what leads to what they call a 54-hole cut or a 3-day cut. And so we won't have all of the stats. As you can see, some of these players haven't played on the course where we get the stats. So it's presenting a unique challenge this week. I'm looking forward to it. Having said that, there is every possibility that this is just not my strong suit and I give bad advice, but we're gonna run with it. We'll see how we do. I'm trying to think. I don't know how far I would feel comfortable going down in here in terms of picking guys, because you've got placement points to figure out. I mean, like I said, I can tell you that it looks like Cameron Davis is really, really underperformed. But, I mean, he would have to shoot -8, -9, perhaps, to make the cut tomorrow. It's not unheard of at the Nicklaus Tournament course, which has been the easiest course this week. But there's the second regular. She is done having fun by herself in the other room and now wants me to play. I mean, I can tell you that Cameron Davis should improve upon the metrics, but I can't say that he needs to be core, because you're not getting any of those placement points. And David Lipsky, kind of the same. Like, I like what I see here. Now, he's never a good putter, so that doesn't bother me nearly as much, but he is so far back. He's dug himself a hole. Is there anybody just outside the cut, maybe, that we think could make a big run? I saw Lucas Glover. He's number 1 in approach, but the putting hadn't been there. He hadn't done anything other than the irons the day he was at the stadium course, so not particularly fond of what I see there. Now, Ben Griffin is going to La Quinta. Ben Griffin played pretty darn well today at the stadium course when it was tougher today as opposed to the first day. Ben Griffin could be somebody to maybe think about on the outside. Maybe makes a charge tomorrow. Especially since the total metrics are good. And around the green just generally doesn't matter here. Again, throw it in chat if you are wanting to scrutinize a particular player. But as of right now, I think I've got kind of my core up here. That I would want to focus on. And then you can kind of fill in the rest of your lineups as is around it. So I'm going to resort this on salary. Now let's make a few lineups here and see what we can gather. All right. To me, even though the stadium course is historically the toughest of these 3 courses, the fact that he is, one, sitting in second, so you're not going to lose a whole lot of placement points even if he does struggle tomorrow. And by struggle, I mean even par. You wouldn't lose a ton in terms of placement points. Like, I think Jon Rahm is a very stable start to a lineup. Even when he's the most expensive player, and he's probably going to be one of the most chalky players, one of the most highly owned players. There's a reason for it. I think he's pretty darn stable. So I do like Jon Rahm at the top end of your lineup. I like Keith Mitchell a lot to perhaps make a pretty big move. Normally, he does not play easy courses well, but he's played well enough so far. He shot an average of -4 a day. The irons are there. Off the tee has been stellar, elite, if you will. He's been putting. He putted fine the day he was at the stadium course. I think Keith Mitchell is somebody that perhaps is going to be overlooked, might be fairly unique for you. The same token, just like Jon Rahm, I think JT Poston's going to be pretty widely owned, and probably for pretty good reason. He plays easy courses well. He plays short courses well. He played well at the stadium course. He's putting. I like JT Poston. Now, if you want to use, say, a Tyler Duncan, who is third and going to historically the easiest course, that gives you a whole lot of room here to maneuver in the 8s. You can go Tom Hoge, Cam Davis, although Cam Davis is a bit of a risk because he's so far back in the tournament standings. You could also do something, say, Tom Kim. That leaves you 8,100. You know, Adam Hadwin has played this event very well in the past. You could even go, say, Jason Day. I'm just reorganizing here, so don't mind me. But Jason Day is somebody that I'm pretty high on, going to La Quinta. So there's a lineup that I would not be too upset about submitting. Again, a lot of Tyler Duncan's value is the fact that he's in third. So if he struggles, shoots even par, you still got to think he's going to be in the top 20 or so, give or take. I mean, shoot, he's 3 shots ahead of T14. So it's going to take a lot of players to pass him. In the interest of using some different names here, another way you could go, again, I'm just going to go with Patrick Cantlay. He's just played this event so immaculately well. I believe a second, a third, and a 9th in the past 4 years here. You can go, say, Patrick Cantlay. I like what I've seen from Sam Burns. Again, I wouldn't make him core, but you know, he's putt very well. He's played well this week, and he had not played well coming into this week, so he has clearly found something, or you know, is having just a good week, but the irons are back, and he's putting the daylights out, and these technically are Bermuda greens, even though they won't play like Bermuda greens. So I like Sam Burns as well. You could bottom out at an Erik Van Rooyen and not have to worry about the 6Ks like Tyler Duncan or Danny Lee, although I do think Danny Lee is a decent option. If you bottom out at Erik Van Rooyen, let's see. Let's look at else in here in the low 7s. Now, he's not on the right side of the course tomorrow, but Ben Taylor is somebody that was fairly well balanced in his performance at the stadium course on day 1. Thomas Detry seems like he's proving me a bit wrong so far. I mentioned Wednesday evening that I wanted to see him play well away from a coastal course. He has certainly done that. So Thomas Detry might be a unique-ish name to consider. Pendrith scares me a little bit in the sense that he can get wayward and the stadium course has the most trouble on it. So Pendrith kind of worries me in that regard. Again, these players that haven't played the stadium course, we don't have stats for how well they've played the other courses, but I mean, coming into this week, Will Gordon was number 7 in terms of easy courses. So if you want to think that improves, I don't hate that thought process at all. But again, if you're looking at 8250, you're looking at, Siwoo's kind of the same. Again, he hadn't played the toughest course, so it's hard to say for certain, but he's generally played this event well. He doesn't appear to have the hangover from the win last week. Don't hate Siwoo Kim, which leaves 7,700 at Jason Day, who's I think fairly core for round 3. So there's another look at a lineup or style of lineup, not going into the upper echelon of the 10. John Rahm, even Scheffler. Let's go stars and scrubs. Really hammer out the upper end of the leaderboard that looks like it's going to be pretty solid. So I'm going to go, say, John Rahm, Xander. I would love to fit a Tom Kim into this as well. And I understand we've used the same names here, but, I mean, they are what they are. Tyler Duncan is tied for 3rd right now and has played the first 2 days very well and is going to historically the easiest course. So I love his prospects tomorrow. Danny Lee, while the overall numbers coming into the week were middling, he's played well and he has shown nothing of a weakness. He hasn't shown much of a strength, but he hasn't shown a weakness, and he's getting the best stretch of golf for a round 3 showdown and starting on the back 9 at the Nicklaus course. I love Danny Lee tomorrow. We're at 8,200. If I try to squeeze in another premier player, that's 7,000. There's Robbie Shelton, who I've highlighted here. He doesn't have any weaknesses, but he doesn't have the best tee time. Like I said, I would have loved. I was trying to use Taylor Montgomery for different name value, different namesake. Sungjae might be okay here, although what's his putting generally? I don't think it's all that great. 23rd. Again, this is in all of 2022 and the 2 tournaments so far this year. So it looks like he has performed better with the putter this week than normal. But I mean, again, I don't hate using a Sungjae. That's 7,200. Again, that's Eric Van Rooyen, Ben Griffin. I just like Eric Van Rooyen because he's got that same stretch that Danny Lee does. He's teeing off on the back 9 at the Nicklaus Tournament course, which is played so very easy. Let me re-emphasize that. Oh, I already had it up. I'm stupid. Nicklaus Tournament course. And the reason I say the back 9, all of these holes have played under par. Played 2 under par. But the thing is, everybody will play these 9 holes in succession. It's the fact that the guys that start on hole 10, they have the opportunity to go 17, which is a little more than a 10th under par. 18 has played 2 par, so it's not a great birdie opportunity, but it's not a guaranteed par or worse either. And then they can go 1 and 2 as well. So if they do birdie 18, they've got 2 really good chances to get a birdie surrounding that. Whereas if you look at the front 9 of the Nicklaus Tournament course, hole 3 is played over par. Hole 6 over par. Hole 8 and hole 9 have played over par. That is generally the toughest part of the course. So I really do prefer the players that are starting on the back 9. One, I mean, you can get your tournament started quickly, but not only that, you've got the 17, 18, 1, and 2 stretch. So I really like players that are teeing off on the back 9 at the Nicklaus Tournament course tomorrow. And that's where Lee and Van Rooyen are. So I've used a few of the same names, but there's a reason I think they're core. There's another look at a Stars and Scrubs build that I think would be pretty darn good. Pretty darn good for tomorrow. Lastly, let's see if we can't build a balanced-ish type lineup, and I'll leave you all with that. If we're going to build a balanced lineup, let's use Taylor Montgomery. Again, only trying to use different names here. This can be Taylor Montgomery, it can be Sungjae, it can be Tom Kim. Maybe you start with Sam Burns. The concept is what I'm going after, and you can adjust the players as need be. But I haven't built an ultra balanced lineup for round 3 yet, so we'll say maybe Taylor Montgomery. We've used Sam Burns and Siwoo. Let's go Siwoo. Again, he's just played this event very well. He doesn't appear to have the winning hangover from the Sony. I like where Siwoo's at. I'm going to use Cameron Davis, and I understand the weakness here in the fact that he is tied for 120th. He's got a lot of ground to make up. You might lose out on some of the placement points, but I expect him to play pretty darn well tomorrow, considering he is on that back nine at the Nicklaus Tournament course. So I'll go with Cameron Davis. I think this is also a JT Poston and Keith Mitchell and Jason Day type deal. Two of these three. I'm going to use Keith Mitchell again for a lot of these same reasons. He's on that back nine at the Nicklaus Tournament course. Let's bottom. Well, I don't know if we need to bottom out at Thomas Detry. We might be able to bottom out at Will Gordon at 76. Yeah, I mean this is Keith Mitchell and JT Poston with a bottom out at Will Gordon. And Will Gordon doesn't have any stats because he hasn't played the tournament course yet, but generally has played, I mean, he's played easy courses extremely well. Now, the one thing that is hurting him, he is teeing off late in the afternoon. I think I would prefer players who are playing early as opposed to late. Everything else being in a vacuum, I think I would prefer players that are starting in the afternoon. But, you know, considering where he is in the standings versus Patrick Rogers, I think that more than compensates because the wind isn't supposed to pick up all that much tomorrow. I think the highest wind gust, not even sustained, but wind gust is like 8 miles an hour. So it's not a big deal. I like that balance. If you're wanting to go a balanced look, that's the direction kind of I would go. But you can see where a lot of my core is. I am absolutely favoring a stars and scrubs type look for tomorrow. And I'll build one more of these. Let's go. We haven't used Scotty Scheffler. I don't hate Scotty Scheffler. He's tied for 9th. It's fine. I just think Jon Rahm is the safest, stable option there is. He is second in the tournament. Tee time right in the middle of the day, comparatively to everybody else. I just think he's stable. So I'm going to use Jon Rahm again, but, you know, understand he's going to be extremely chalky. Extremely chalky. So I'll go Jon Rahm. Let's go. Let's see. The last one I used was Xander, so let's go Patrick Cantlay and Tom Kim. The leader of the tournament is where? I thought I highlighted him. Maybe I didn't. Davis Thompson. There he is at 74. Like, he seems like he could probably fit here. I'm going to try not to go too much into the 6Ks. Like I said, I really like Tyler Duncan. He's performed well. Now he's at La Quinta versus Danny Lee, who's at the Nicklaus Tournament course. I'm actually going to, let's try Danny Lee. So again, we still have the 6,800 per. Brendan Todd is somebody else you could probably consider because the putting is generally really good and he's been poor at putting, so you would think that would again regress to the mean. Matthias Schmid has played extremely well. Now he's on the opposite end of the Nicklaus Tournament course that you would prefer, but the ball striking numbers are there. He hasn't played the best when it's easy historically. So, I mean, Matty Schmid might be another name for you to consider. It looks like this might be a bit too expensive. if I'm not going to go all the way down to Tyler Duncan. Might be a tad bit too expensive. In fact, if I go Tyler Duncan, let's try to fit in the leader of the tournament, Davis Thompson. 6,500 is Tyler Duncan again. I see that's... I don't know how I feel about Davis Thompson. The dude has 5 eagles this week. Like, that's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And he's going to the most difficult course historically of the 3. Like, you're guaranteed the placement points. I get it. But I'm not. I think I'm trying to beat Davis Thompson. Is where I'm going with that line of thinking. I'm going to throw in Kevin Yu. I like what I saw today from him at the stadium course. 5th off the tee, 5th in iron play. He's never a good putter. So he's probably not too far off of his career norms. Generally pretty good when it's easy. Again, he's quite further back in the standings. But I think he plays well tomorrow. This leaves that 68 for Danny Lee that, I would do. But just in the interest of a different name, I'll throw out Brendan Todd because of the putting. He hasn't putt to his usual standards. Johnny Vegas has played pretty darn well. Pretty solid all the way around. He's also at 6,800. I don't hate that play, but he again is pretty far back in the standings. But again, if you're in the upper 8s, I think it's Danny Lee. He's tied for 21st. He's going to the easiest part of the entire tournament, which is the back 9 at the Nicklaus tournament course. I don't see any reason not to use Danny Lee. I'm just not putting him here because we've used him quite a bit already. But I'm going to put this lineup next to this one because it's of the same ilk, Stars and Scrubs. So there's 5 lineups, 4 different ideas or roster constructions of lineups for you tomorrow for round 3 showdown. In the comments, let me know how it goes. Again, I have not really focused on just round 3 or a particular round showdown. I'm much more of a weekend golf contestant. So the placement points kind of throw me off a little bit and trying to project placement points. So let me know how that goes. Let me know in the comments how your weekend just goes overall. If you have any questions once the cut is made, if you want help for Sunday, feel free to reach out. Comments of this video on social media. Be more than happy to get to give you what I see after tomorrow's stats. Now that everybody would have played the stadium course. But that's going to do it for tonight's Friday Night Chill stream. Thanks to Curious and to James for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Reminder that next week's schedule will be Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Make sure you mark your calendars, your notifications. The Farmers Insurance Open next week is from Wednesday to Saturday. So I'm going to be doing Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday evening shows. Tuesday's time to be determined since I have already made plans and can't back out of those. So for all of your round 3 and weekend golf contests for this weekend and every weekend, and until I see you Sunday for the Farmers Insurance Initial Research Show, may all your bets be profitable.